All right, we have Michelle with us today. We're continuing our 3-8 interviews. And Michelle, where does the podcast find you?
I'm so happy to be back, Andrew. I'm so excited. I love catching up with you. The podcast finds me in a time where I'm feeling super energetic and expressive and really excited for spring and yeah, just really happy to be here.
Yeah. Do you think that's just the natural cycle of getting out of the doom and gloom loop of winter and
Yes.
the false starts we've had this year, or has
Yes.
anything changed drastically other than like the weather and kind of the time of year?
Okay, well, do you know like the Chinese New Year started last week? So it's the
Yeah.
year of the horse. Okay, yeah. So I think that has been super influential. I feel like I'm just taking really good care of myself. And so I have a lot of energy to do and work on projects that I love. And a lot of it is all about writing. So I'm just
Yeah.
so excited. Yeah.
So I think like we're trying to think back like when we
Yeah.
last talked. It's about
Yeah.
6-7 months ago.
Did you just say 6-7?
6-7. I didn't even try that, but for all the boomers in the audience, that's what the kids are doing, and for all the kids, well, we know.
Sorry. Yeah.
But I'm not even
God.
going to try to explain that one.
Okay.
But we were talking, and I think you either had just done kind of your first improv thing, and then
Yeah.
were looking at doing stand up, or had just done your stand up thing, and if only
Yeah.
there was a way to find that out. But we're just going to assume that it was some indeterminate state.
Yeah.
I know since then you've been continuing on that. You're going. So maybe give folks an update of kind of how it's progressed since like the beginning and where you're at now.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll start with I love stand up and I've enjoyed just watching it evolve. And so I stopped drinking in 2019, which was 7 years ago, and I really couldn't find like a lot of things to do that weren't necessary, like with being at bars. Obviously I do a lot
Right.
more things now, but I found myself, and even when I was drinking, I was at comedy clubs a lot because I enjoy laughing. Like I know I don't have to explain that. But I ended up just finding this comedy club in Kansas City that I really enjoyed being at. And I would just go there by myself and just like be with people in a nightlife environment and feel like that I'm out without being forced to drink. And plus, I could eat French fries, and it doesn't count in the dark. So, so then I stopped drinking. I remember I go on a walk with a friend. This was in 2020, and he's like, "What's your dream?" And I hadn't been dreaming, like leading up, I really hadn't been dreaming. And so I can't even believe that I said this, but I was like, I want to do stand up. He was like, do it or whatever. And I mean, I did it 6 years later. I did my first
Yeah.
open mic in
Yeah.
August.
I think that's.
But I'd been writing. Yeah, I'd been writing all the time. And so, yeah, now I'm just obsessed and it's so fun. It's such a human experiment and the quickest way to grow very quickly, personally and professionally. I feel like I can just be myself. And I've always been looking for a place I could do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot there to unpack. I think one thing I think is interesting, and I don't know how many of the folks know this at home, but like comedy is also kind of notorious for like late nights and bad decisions. And so a lot of people, are drug addicted, or there's a lot of like alcohol involved. Has that changed, or have you just had the time and space to kind of like deal with it and not get kind of like sucked in? You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of like alcoholics or something, and that wasn't why you stopped, but like they just avoid it altogether, which I don't
Yeah.
think is necessarily healthy either, because it's so ingrained in our culture.
Yeah. I think that if I were to do stand up while I was drinking, would not have worked. Like, and so I'm really grateful for the fact that I discovered it once I was so comfortable and confident in my sobriety. And people ask, like, can I drink? And I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, yes, And so it's something I observe. I notice myself, like, if I'm talking with people who I know are intoxicated, like I have a little less patience in general. But for the most part, it's fun. And yeah, it doesn't feel like tempting or anything like that. I'm eating way more bar food than I would prefer, but I'm honestly just like, you know what? It's fine. So I'm just really enjoying it. I've met a lot of just incredibly dynamic individuals who are most likely insane, and I probably am too. And so
Where they
it's
say
just,
comedy is cheaper than therapy, right?
yes, it's free.
Yeah.
Yes. But I do markers.
Yeah. What's So you said you write a lot, and I think your Instagram is full of a lot of, I'll call it content. I always feel like bad calling things content. It feels pejorative.
Oh,
But how did that like transfer into comedy, or like do you think that helped you get started faster?
I
Because I
think
think a lot of
so.
people just assume you get up and are funny, and I think for anybody who like is funny or wants to go far in comedy, you do have to prepare. It's just like any other thing in life, right? Most
Yeah.
people can't just get up and wing it.
Totally. And for the record, like, I am not a professional comedian. That is a dream, a desire of mine. Like, I'm just getting started. It's so exciting.
You heard it here
I
first.
love it. I love it so much. And also, Andrew, like, over the years we've known each other, I'm constantly trying new things, like,
Yep.
really trying to stretch myself. And so, who knows what's next? But I'm really loving this for now. And so, I feel like I already had the habit of writing. Like, I've had that
Right.
as a foundation for myself, and I'm just super happy for that because it's not something that I wait or procrastinate. I mean, I have my journal right here. Like, this, it's always with me. And I think that writing, and outside of comedy, I think that writing is the most simple and powerful way to enjoy your life more.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And it, for folks listening who might not know what writing is,
No.
I know, right? We take trees and we take the flesh of dead trees and turn it into a product called paper,
Yeah,
which
Fern
doesn't
Gully
require
in this
power.
bitch. Yeah.
And you take ink or some other chemical and put it on there, and then it stays. And then you have to haul it around with you, unlike the digital world we live in. But
That's great.
it never gets old for me, like kind of giving the young folks a hard time because there's it's so funny. You talk about writing, you go all the way back to like some of the first writing of like Greece, and they're complaining about the youth. It's literally a tale as old as time, right? They're like, the kids today and their scrolls are going to ruin tablets. It's just, there's
Yeah.
always something that as things progress, as technology moves forward, the people who aren't used to it or aren't in it, there's always people who kind of go against it.
Yeah.
But to your point with writing, I think it's hard to know that if it's just been with us for so long that we've adapted to it, or it because it forces you to think in such a different way, and
Hmm.
then you actually have to like do a physical process to make it happen. And I've
Yeah, it's
seen,
slow.
right, you so you have to
Yeah.
think about it. You have to gather materials. Like, it used to be really expensive, so you'd really have to think about it. Now it's pretty reasonable compared to
Yeah.
other things. But
Sure.
there's been a lot of studies on typing, and because you use both hands, you're using different parts of your brain, and when you type something versus write something, you're actually using different pathways.
Hmm.
And I totally agree with you. Like, I typically take notes on paper.
Yeah.
If I'm meeting with folks, sometimes I'll jot a quick digital note, but I'm generally just doing that. And then I'll do a lot of planning as well on paper,
Yeah.
and kind of like literally like diarying my
Feelings.
ideas. No, I don't diary
What do you
at all.
do?
Yeah, I use a notebook as a tool.
Does
I
it have
just
a
complain on
name?
the podcast about things.
Perfect. Yeah.
No,
If
most stuff
you are a
doesn't really
podcast
bother
host, you
me.
don't even need to write.
I know, right?
No,
That's the
I'm kidding.
secret. Is most stuff doesn't actually bother me, so I don't.
That's
I guess,
great. It's a
yeah.
great outlook.
But the writing thing is, it's so funny for me to say this, but you should try it, because there's so many people now. Like, when we were of the age where I think everything we did as kids was on paper, and then you
Yeah.
might have had like keyboarding or typing or something, right? And then
Yeah.
we moved into the technology progressed so much that I remember, like, probably in my senior year of high school, very rarely did we write anything. And it was almost required to word process it.
Yeah. I remember.
And then in college, like, it was kind of weird. It was like a mix of like, you have to do
Yeah, like
everything by
worksheets.
hand,
Yeah.
or you have like a computer lab.
Weird to think about.
But I think there's an entire, two generations or maybe three now who have no idea. I don't even think they teach handwriting anymore in a
I
lot of
don't,
schools.
I'm certain that they don't teach cursive.
Yeah.
I don't know about handwriting. I'm pretty sure they all have iPads. I think babies
Yeah.
get iPads now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They just come out of the womb with a freaking iPad.
Screen. Everyone's going to be nearsighted or farce, whatever
Y-
the one requires
Yeah.
reading glasses. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy.
So for folks like, it's this is so funny to me because we're literally living technological progression where we're talking about like how to get started on something that is still ubiquitous. Like writing isn't like gone away, but people don't know how to do it. Do you have any ways or advice for people to get started on it? Because like I can see this like attention is at it already premium, right? Because like I'm just gonna go on TikTok or Instagram and sit there instead of like looking at the empty page and how to fill it. And I remember struggling through this like writing essays and stuff, but like I
Yeah.
had a prompt.
Yeah.
Do you have like
I
ways for
do.
folks to get started doing
Yes, for
this?
sure.
Yeah.
Side note, Andrew, you're invited. I know this will come out after, but I'm hosting a journaling session next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central. So early
Okay.
for you, but you should definitely
Yeah.
join, where I'm going to talk a little bit more about just the beauty of writing and how to become more present. And in the past, I've hosted different journaling challenges.
Mm-hmm.
I've given prompts, and what I'm working on right now is also having individual conversations with people and then suggesting prompts for them. It was just Valentine's Day, so I'm coming up with a little booklet for prompts about love, which is really important to me and reflective, but also like kind of fun and silly. So I think always getting started is just finding a really, really beautiful journal that you love. Like this is the one that I'm loving right now. It has pockets. And so I just like keep little
Mm-hmm.
things in there every morning before I touch my phone.
That's key, actually. Don't
Yes.
poison your mind.
No, do not even do it. Like keep it mine's on my bed. Like my journal is on my bed. On it's either on the side table, and I just always write the date, and then normally I write a little bit about what I dreamt the night before, and I always write that in present tense. So the dreams are
Mm-hmm.
not in the past, I write them in the present. And then pretty much what I do, which is like super basic now and everyone's talking about it, but it is true, is just writing things that you're grateful for and why.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's like, I'm really grateful no one broke into my house last night because I had a meeting early and that would have sucked, you
Yeah.
know? Or like, I'm really grateful my dog is so freaking cute. Just things like that, like things that are happening in your life that are super alive and simple. And I feel like that
Mm-hmm.
has had, it's the easiest thing, Andrew, and it's had such a profound impact on my day to day. I freaking love it.
And I think that's key too, because I feel like a lot of people assume that if you are writing, then you have to write hundreds of words or pages or whatever. But to your point of like just getting started, a simple observation or even a sentence of reflection starts to like do those pathways more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
for folks who are like really big into social media and sharing stuff, that thought process doesn't exist anymore. It's just so easy to just go to your phone, hit a thing, and then you tend to get some sort of reinforcement loop.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're journaling, you don't necessarily see that reinforcement loop, but it is a skill like everything else. It is a process that you build over time and get better at, which then helps inform other things you do.
Yeah.
And like to tie that to for folks really easily, it's like the journaling and the writing has to help you in comedy, right? You've already built this like skill of doing it and the practice of doing it, all those pathways, and now you're using that, I'm assuming, to refine your comedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like what's your process for that then? Like do you write jokes out and then try them, or like everyone's got a little bit of a different process, but it all kind of like you have to kind of have an idea, you got to go do it in front of people, and then it'll either hit or you need to change. It's instant
Yeah.
feedback, right? And
Y-
it's instant human feedback. It's not like you made a bad tweet and you delete it later. It's just like you're in front of, dozens or hundreds of people.
Yeah. Which is so amazing. I don't know how to describe that feeling of sharing something you have created with others in like such a
Yeah.
vulnerable way. And then like, but the expectation is that they have a response. And sometimes they don't. And you're just like, God. I mean, a lot of the jokes that I have that I love, like just come to me and then I write them down and I keep writing them and they get refined and I like to say them
Hmm.
out loud. I think that what is probably the most to writing is that I'm mostly writing about what I'm observing. And
Hmm.
so my and there's again, many more people who are way smarter and cooler than me on an approach to writing comedy. I'm learning as I go.
Yep.
But just writing what's true first and then making it funny. I think
Interesting.
that
How
has
do you
been
make
really
something
helpful.
funny?
There's a lot of different ways. You can always throw in a 6-7 like you just did. That
I'm going to title the podcast this just for all the
please
kids at
don't.
home. Then he's like, oh, this is a cool podcast. And he just makes fun of us for not knowing what paper is. What a boomer.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's just a little of my process. I'm constantly evolving too and learning, and then also just like learning from other people too who are also so dedicated. I remember like one of the first open mics I did, like everyone was there with a journal, and I was like, these are my people, you know? Hell yeah. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm really enjoying that.
So you kind of refine you had a joke that's just bombed?
Yeah.
So what do you do in that moment? Because I feel like we talked a little bit about this, I think, last time, where like theater or performing or being in front of other people doing stuff is really hard. Even
Yeah.
if you're an expert and you do this full time,
Yeah.
you get the jitters still. And if you don't get the jitters, you're probably doing it wrong because you're too
Sure.
comfortable. You need to be doing something else.
Yeah.
How do you like deal with that? Because I think what I would love for everybody to do is experience that
Yeah.
and then figure out a way to recover on your feet, because that's the number one skill in life, that if you do something and it doesn't work and you get instant feedback and you can then figure something else out afterwards that works, you start to like build those pathways of resilience that so many people are missing now.
Yeah. I mean, again, I feel somewhat like a fake ass bitch talking about
Yeah.
this because I've been in comedy for 2 seconds.
Yeah, but you've done it though, right?
Sure,
And this is
sure,
the thing
sure.
that I
Okay.
like to talk with people about.
Okay.
This isn't some hypothetical, like I'm going to go
Okay.
be a comedian or whatever. You're out on
Okay.
stage performing, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
experience. You don't have a lot of experience. That's fine.
Correct. Yes.
But I'm like, part of the podcast too is to try to get folks exposed to like, this is messy and hard,
Yeah.
right? If you continue on and do well, like, we'll have you back on and we'll talk about that and
Cool.
years from now. And then we
Yeah.
can like do a flip back to this moment, because
Oh.
I'm trying to dispel this idea of excellence. It's just something you just do, right? It's messy. It sucks. Like I talk about it through my own personal, like Nathan and I talk a lot about it on our weekly.
Yeah.
I have people on. I try not to just like lambast people.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, we've known each other for a long time. I know
For
you're
sure.
cool with it too, but like,
Yeah.
but I also want to acknowledge, like, you are doing the thing. You might
Thank
not,
you.
has anyone paid you?
Yeah.
So then you are a professional.
It's crazy.
Up and coming.
Yeah. Are you paying me for this, by the way?
No.
Or, oh, okay.
There's no payment.
Good. Good. Perfect. God. Well, no, just kidding. Okay, well, I really love that about you, Andrew, and I want to share something that I came up with as a surprise.
Uh-oh.
Ready? It's from our text messages.
Oh God.
Okay. So on January 16th this year, I texted you and I said, "Tell me what's on your heart today." I was curious about
Yeah.
what was happening for you. I had just met one of your friends a couple nights before,
Yeah.
and I was feeling like I really want to know what's going on with
I'm
you,
shilling
Andrew.
for you on the West Coast.
Yes, I was like, thank you so much. Like that was the funnest thing ever. And this was your response. Ready?
Boy.
Humanity is the primary limiter to human progress.
Sounds like something I would say.
Doesn't it? That's so you. And I think that that's what you're doing here in this space, is reminding people that it doesn't have to be perfect, which is so interesting with your background in tech and all the really smart things that I have no idea that what you're saying about. And so I just really, really value that, and I really appreciate about what you're doing here.
Cool. Oh, thank you. Yeah. And it's been so fascinating for me to see the reaction and response from folks. Because again, it's like we're doing a podcast. It goes out to the world. Anyone in the world can watch it. And it's so funny to me, and it's very interesting to see how people choose to respond or not.
Yeah.
And this is like trolling and that kind of stuff. And it's just like you elicit positive reactions, you elicit negative reactions, and yet at the same time, it's never been easier to do this.
Yeah.
And no one does it.
Yeah.
And I just see this pattern over and over again. And I guess maybe I'm wired differently. I just don't get it. Like, if you want
Yeah.
to do something, do it. Figure out what you need to do.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Like, it's not going to happen tomorrow. And that's where like perseverance or grit or like resilience, all these kind of things that we don't talk about anymore,
Yeah.
come up to. But when I wrote that, I don't remember what I was doing in the moment, but I've actually come to that. We talked a little bit about it with like AI and stuff, where it's like
Yeah.
the biggest limitation right now is people. The hope with the podcast again is to expose people. It is easy, but the act of doing and the act of execution is the hard, challenging part. And
Yeah.
you need resilience to be able to do that. And that's what I love about comedy and like your journey as well, in that you've done all sorts of different stuff and it wasn't, you either didn't like it, it didn't fit, whatever the reason is, but the thread that you've had throughout that whole time is like you've built upon something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so different than a lot of people will start something, stop something, and then they just, either don't do it or they do something totally random. And you don't ever make progress because you're constantly dabbling. Like, you might be learning, but you're not really like unlocking the power of the process of creativity. Whereas you get, like, the writing thing is a perfect example. It's something you do. It's also a separate activity,
Yeah.
but then it's been able to level you up, because I don't think you would be as good at comedy if you didn't have that skill set and hadn't had that process of being present, because so many people can't. And it like, the world's fucking hilarious, right?
It's
And
so
so many
amazing.
people are on their damn phone all the time. They don't even realize how ridiculous the world is.
Truly. Yeah. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. So
That's nice.
and in the journaling workshop, you're also trying to expose other people or help build them up too. And that's like, what is it? The I always forget the order of it, but it's like listen, see, or listen, do, teach model or whatever, where it's like someone shows you how to do something, you kind of figure out how to do it, and then you have to teach someone else. That's like the best way for humans to like learn stuff and become better. And almost nobody does that last part of trying to teach other people or help them build themselves.
Yeah.
That skill, and like that's when you mastered something, right?
For sure.
And that's how you get better, because you eventually plateau, but that's how then you get better, is to help other people struggle through their process. And then you impart wisdom on them, and wisdom is applied knowledge that someone else has learned that you don't have to learn. And that's how we move humanity forward. We've kind of lost the wisdom piece in our society.
Yeah. And I feel like I've been going back and forth between like feeling like this deep, wise person that I sometimes am.
Yeah.
And then also there's this other side of me in the comedy space where I talk some inappropriate stuff. And I'm like, it's so fine. It's
Yeah.
so fine. It's so fun. I just feel so happy that one, I can entertain myself, first of all, and that it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
Like I'm very satisfied. Satisfaction is incredibly important to me. I'm very satisfied just writing and like not needing to listen to music while I write, not needing to have the perfect thing. Oh, my handwriting sucks. Like, oh, this pen sucks. Like, I can just be very in. And obviously, there's millions of self-help books who will talk about ultimately the only thing you need to do is be in the present moment. That's it. And that's what writing does. That's what writing does. It takes you right to where exactly you are. And that's what I'm calling that session now. It's called Right Where You Are, but like, get it?
Clever.
Get it? And what would happen if more people experience that daily or even more often? So I feel like that's a little bit of my purpose. I think it's also to share, like, you can actually do whatever you want in your life. Go do anything that you want. And so it feels really good to hear you say that you respect, the different things that I've tried, because you and I both know many people who are still at our former employer. And it's like, how?
Yeah.
Like, how? I mean, there are days where I'm like, should I? And I can't. And writing helped me decide that I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Writing helped me got incredibly clear.
Yeah, one thing I've come to realize too, and Nathan, I've talked about this. It's been a long time since we've talked through it again, but the corporate world has a big problem of not indexing on creativity. And I'm seeing this a lot now with like the AI brace or whatever you want to call it in the tech industry, where there's like these top down mandates of use the tool. That's weird to me. Like if the tool was so great, then people would be using it because it would be great, right? And it
Yeah.
would be obvious. And I think
Yep.
the two learnings I've come to find is like getting or using AI for productive uses is hard. It's a pretty shitty tool. Like it's fantastic, mind blowing, is able to do things faster and more difficult than humans would be able to do, especially in a given time frame. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it's also really fucking hard to use and use right and use in a predictable way, and that trips people up. So there is like an exposure coefficient where you have to like expose people to things that they're not necessarily ready for or want to use. But then to mandate a way of doing work to me is just so wrong. Even if using AI for everything you do is the right thing, you never change behavior by forcing people to do shit. It's
Yep.
never happened in human history, right? Otherwise you get war and then somebody wins because you kill off everybody who has its dissenting idea. Pretty bad system.
That's interesting. So that makes me think of, okay, so we know that people can't be forced, but we
Yep.
also need to remind them that they have agency and that they have
Yes.
choice. And I don't, but I don't necessarily, I'm not the person who's like, you can do whatever you want. I'm just like, go have fun. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, just enjoy life. It's so fun. It's
Yeah.
so crazy.
Well, yeah, and humanity is the only thing in its own way. You're the only thing in your way, right?
God, I know.
If you and people are so good, and I don't know if this is just humanity or what it is, but they're so good at coming up with every reason not to try something or not to do something.
Yeah.
And as you get older, it seems like it's worse for most people, not everyone, but a lot. You. I think part of it is you get enough experience with enough stuff where you've kind of identified the things that you're comfortable with, and our brains are really good at pattern recognition and
Totally.
not getting out of the pattern if you don't have to. But the present moment thing is so missing for the political climate in 2020 is bonkers in my mind. It's just absolutely bonkers. You don't even need to take a side. It doesn't make any sense. And a lot of people don't realize this because they're so camped in one side of the debate or the other. But the present moment thinking would be like, is this working for you today?
Hmm.
Is this helping you get to the future that you want or the
Your
next
vision.
step?
Yeah.
Right. And that's, I don't think people are capable of seeing that larger picture problem if they're not capable of seeing that in their own today. Okay. For folks at home, you are your own greatest resource. You have everything you need inside you to achieve your vision, which looks like a calendar saying
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So
Yes.
Michelle just put that up.
That's what you just said.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard, and it's also the most freeing thing to experience. Like you can just go do whatever you want.
Yeah. So maybe to tie this down for folks. So you bomb on stage, you tell a joke.
All
Like,
the time.
yeah. So how are you, so for folks I guess who haven't been to comedy, go,
Yeah.
but I think I see there's two kind of like modalities for an audience of like kind of warming into the act or whatever. It's like you'll tell something and like it'll be immediately funny and people get it right away and you're like, oh, that's really, and people are laughing. You get the opposite of just like, we just aren't in the same brain space or groove or whatever. And sometimes you warm into that. But then there's that like kind of a sub branch of that where it's like a delay and
Oh
you'll say
yeah.
something or a comedian will say something and some people in the audience, a few seconds later are like, okay, I kind of get it. And it like, how do you like bring us into like a moment in that where you're like, kind of, how do you like pick up on that? And then how are you choosing to get out of it? Because I think again, you have to recognize the problem. The audience isn't laughing for folks,
Hmm.
right? And like
Hmm.
that could just be you just got to get used to your style, or
Hmm.
they all just had a new beer or something. There's some other
Hmm.
stimulus you have to compete with, versus like, ooh, this isn't going good at all. How do I then kind of own the the last 10 minutes of the set to try to get it on track or give people
Yeah.
a good impression or whatever?
Well, that's what makes it so interesting and so easy to do every single night, even when you're bombing.
Yeah.
Like, because every night is so different. And just
Hmm.
like in performance, like there's always a new audience. And so you're creating something together.
Yeah.
And I'm incredibly, one, self-aware and also incredibly sensitive. So I can, I'm listening while I'm talking, and I can,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if this is like me being sober, me being a woman, me just paying attention. I'm not rushing through everything. I'm giving
Yeah.
time for people to process. And I think that's another just fun experience for me, like selfishly, is that there's this opportunity to share information that ideally elicits a physiological response in someone, and it's just really fun. And so I think I'm always listening for a response. So I'm also very slow. I'm also very intentional, and I
Hmm.
can just feel the energy in the room, and you can get a pretty quick read on people, like
Yeah.
this isn't going to be funny to them. That's not going to land. It's not funny to me anymore. And I'm enjoying it so much. It's just so fun for me.
Yeah.
And
Have
yeah.
you performed outside of your like local area, like
Um,
regionally?
no.
Not yet.
Let's manifest it. Yeah, not
Yeah.
yet. Not yet.
Because I would also be interested because like the United States is a very complicated place,
Of
and
course.
regionally speaking, like what is funny or not funny in different places is very different. And I'd be interested to see too, like how that experience might change when you go do something in a different region of
Well,
the country.
it even changes from Sunday to Monday, my love.
Yeah.
Like there's some places where I mean, it's really funny. It's a different room, it's a dive bar. There's others where it's like a
Hmm.
mini club, and so it's like there's different people who go there. So that just impacts the entire writing process too. Like, oh, I
Hmm.
would never say this here, but I can say
Right.
it here and that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
And but I can only say it here. So it's there's just so much that I did not anticipate, like the science and the art that
Hmm.
goes into it and the performance part that I'm just having so much fun with. It's so freaking fun. It's so fun.
That's interesting. The right place and right time thing comes up. Do you have
Mm,
you had anybody who's like heckled or like becomes unruly?
not really.
Not really. Not yet.
Knock
It will
on, I just
happen.
knocked on wood. Yeah. Knocked on wood. You can be my first if you want.
I'm really good at heckling.
I see that. Yeah.
I
You're
try
a
not
professional
to.
heckler.
I know, right? I try not to, but sometimes people are just really bad at their craft, or they're just not like they're not in it, and I will let
Yeah.
them know.
Yeah.
But
I'm scared.
that's interesting because so do you do crowd work then? So for folks who like, maybe want to explain like, do you do a lot of crowd work or like what's your style? Because there's so many different styles of comedy. It's not just someone standing with a microphone and talking at you. There's all sorts of different ways to do it, right?
Yeah. I think I'm still learning, and
Mm-hmm.
I got advice from someone that said to like limit crowd work for your
Yeah.
first year, and I'm taking that right
Oh,
now.
smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get someone like me.
Yeah, I'm preparing for you. Like I wanted to make the first one really count.
Yeah.
But that's something that I'm trying, and also there I feel like there's times in the crowd, like even when I go to shows now, I'm like I don't want to be called on. Like
Yeah.
if there's, I made a joke the other night for another comedian's girlfriend who was very present and very alive during all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a little fun together, but it's not like part of the
Right.
performance, I would say. Although it's very popular right now, for sure.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I dig it because people can show their stage presence without burning their jokes. So they can
Mm-hmm.
show an interaction with someone in an audience without sharing their jokes, which is brilliant. And so maybe if I'm noticing how weird it feels for me to like articulate all of this because I really
Yeah.
haven't.
Right.
So thank you. And I'm also feeling kind of like a poser, like an
Yeah.
imposter, because I'm just like not, I'm not. I've obviously, like I said, I've gotten paid a couple of times, 3 times, and but yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like any in art and any art, like you're never, you know,
Yeah.
and I kind of like that. I
There,
kind of think that's good.
there's a healthy amount of like the imposter syndrome that I think there's been a push for folks to like get out of that,
Yeah.
and it makes you a very like terrible person usually because you just develop kind of the, I think you lose that emotional awareness, you lose that seeking fresh perspectives
Yeah.
because you're the expert or you're blah blah blah, and then
Yeah,
you just
no.
kind of shut out all of that other stuff, and like that can work for a while but eventually
Sure.
you fail. And that's for anything, right? That's I see a lot of this going back to kind of the corporate thing. A lot of the people who are, you know, in so-called leadership positions in management, they they seem to kind of get that, or it's like I'm in charge so you have to do the thing, and that kind of going back to the AI thing as well, and
Yep.
that will fail 100% of the time. Every time it might not be immediate, like you can't whereas a comedy, you go in and you start telling the audience how to laugh and they're going to be like fuck off, right? Like,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
fail immediately and you're like, oh shit, I need to change my approach really quick or I'm never
So
coming back.
funny.
The immediacy of consequences has really changed drastically, which is kind of interesting. And that's what I
Mm.
love about this discussion though too, is that you're doing this because you want to, because you like it and you
Yeah.
find value in it, but you also you're kind of flipping. Well, I mean, you are a professional, you've been paid, right?
Okay.
That's the mark of professionalism.
Sure.
I don't know why I didn't decide that that's what it was, but it's
Okay.
like if what you're doing is so valuable that someone will give you money, it's either charity or professional, and maybe it's the same thing. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. They're like, actually, we'll pay you to never come back.
Right?
Like,
Oh my god, that would be my dream as a
yeah.
comedian. Just be like, I'm gonna keep coming back until you pay me to stop.
That's hilarious.
But but it's so you're kind of in there. You're in that weird spot of duality where it's like you've accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
You're not, you know, famous or whatever. Maybe you don't want to be, or you haven't done 1,000 shows, or like, how do you decide what success looks like is a huge problem that I think a lot of people face. And for art or other things, it's like, I sold something.
Yep.
Well, I know plenty of artists who are fantastic, just phenomenal, and they've never sold anything. They either give it
Yeah.
away or
Yeah.
most of them give it away. They don't like hide it in their closet or whatever.
Sure.
But with other things that, you know, you're not building physical goods,
Hmm.
the mark is such, you know, someone willing to pay you for an experience or a product or something like
Yeah.
that. So that's really
Yeah.
awesome.
What's your art as of late?
My art as of late, I don't know if I talked about it too much, if at all. I started roasting coffee.
Ooh. Oh yeah. You
Yeah.
okay? Say more. I'm excited.
Or I don't remember why I even wanted to start doing it. I don't know. I just one day I was just kind of like, this can't be that hard. And I was like, so I got some raw beans, so it's technically a grain, which kind of blows my mind, even though it's like
Oh.
a berry. But yeah, it's
Whoa.
considered a grain,
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
right? There's a whole
Okay.
agricultural study thing
Okay.
going on there.
Okay.
But so I got some raw beans in quotes that are not roasted. So I guess for folks, coffee is kind of a bush or like a small tree like thing, and then it produces berries effectively, and then those berries are picked and harvested, and then the seed kind of in the berry is like what we crush and drink effectively. So you can get you can get berries, I suppose, too. I don't really care about that, but I get the raw and non-industrial product, the actual raw beans, and I got a bag of those, and then I just roasted them on a skillet on a grill. I don't
Okay.
recommend that method. It
Oh.
takes forever. If you're really
Got
kind of
it.
interested in the process, get a small bag of green beans and do it on like a stove, or I probably wouldn't do it inside because it does get really smoky.
Okay.
But yeah, and I did that. I had various levels of success out the gate, of course. It starts small
Yeah.
because you will fuck
Yes.
it up. And then I was like, well, this is good. And like the thing I found was that the coffee that I roasted was so much better than what I could get in the store. Not
Wow.
necessarily because I'm better at it. Maybe I am, but like it's just fresh, right? The
Okay.
food that you cook at home that is fresh out of the garden is way better than the food that you cook
Always.
out of the grocery store or it's been sitting around, right? So like
Yeah.
that immediately I was like, wow, this is like way better coffee. And so it's been fun experimenting with that, and then different regions, you know, all coffee beans come from, I believe, Ethiopia
Yeah.
historically, but because they've been growing for so long in different areas, they have different characteristics, you know, different sizes, different flavors. So that's I guess cooking is an art, right? So
Of
I don't know
course.
if that counts, but yeah,
Yes, it
that's
does.
been the
It's
latest
like,
pursuit.
how are you using your hands?
Yeah.
How are you using the basic things that exist to create something that you can consume and love?
Yep.
That's all. It's awesome, and I love that people are asking
Yeah.
about it now, and you're having fun with it. It's creating.
Well, right. And so, is there anything that we didn't talk about that we should have, or something I didn't ask you that you're like, wow, what the hell?
I feel complete. I love
Cool.
chatting with you. Can't wait to talk again in 6 months,
Yeah.
maybe less, and you can be
I'll
my
be
first
mindful of how I
heckler.
text you now.
No,
Now it's
don't be
content.
mind.
Don't be
Let's
mindful.
let
Cut it. Just end it.
don't be
Being
mindful.
present. Don't be mindful.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at our text. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But thank you as always. And
Yeah. Do you
yeah.
want to end on a joke?
What do you want to hear about?
Well, I feel like we got to give people
You might have to.
something, right?
You might have to cut this.
Sure. I probably won't. Like it's really hard, I think, to come out with like cold, with that kind of a joke. But like the thing I like about jokes for folks, like it's okay to hit the edges in comedy. Like if we're just sitting in a meeting and I'm just like come out with some crazy joke, like that's not good. Like you're not a comedian. It's the wrong place, the wrong time. But like comedy helps people process stuff, right? It helps make difficult things sometimes easier to like get in. And a lot of times the dark humor kind of stuff is funny because like, it's stuff you wouldn't normally think is funny. And now you have a new association and that elicits all sorts of emotions.
One is when you were talking about milk earlier, I have one and it's like, this morning I went to make a bowl of Fruity Pebbles and I realized my milk was expired. And as a 36-year-old woman, milk and I have that in common. I'm very curdled, just getting chunkier by the minute. But you'd
that's
still
good.
drink me.
That's good. Is that how your sets go then?
Like that
Yeah.
vibe,
Yeah.
kind of.
Okay. So it's kind of like personal, introspective, observational kind of. Okay.
Oh, I like this one too. And then we can end on this. Dating in your 30s is a lot like trying a new antidepressant. It takes 6 months to see if it's maybe going to work. And by then you've gained 20 pounds and lost your sex drive. Only because I'm telling you this, but
Yeah.
my doctor is like, just give it time. And I'm like, just give me a fucking gun? Like, I don't know. Like, end it already.
I appreciate you doing some jokes because like it's hard to just like go from like talking about stuff to like stand-up mode, right? I'm sure you have like a routine or whatever you do to like get in the mindset.
Yeah.
So that's
Thanks
fun.
for not heckling me.
Yeah. Next time.
Oh,
Take care.
you pay me, I'll heckle you. No, wait. I'm just kidding.